You know, speaking of Batman and Batman versus Superman, there's been very, very little been coming out in way of confirmed information. A lot of the stuff that comes out about Batman v Superman, and it's understandable because we're so far in advance, is just conjecture and speculation and guessing and rumors. However, one of the key producers of Batman vs. Superman, one of the producers of Man of Steel, Charles Roven, recently sat down and did a really cool interview in which he was asked a bunch of questions about Batman versus Superman. And there are a few things that he confirmed for us. I'm just going to run down here all the things that he kind of mentioned that I thought were interesting talking points, and then we'll dive into it and talk about it a bit. Some of these not so interesting, some of these incredibly interesting. Starting off with this, Roven confirmed that Ben Affleck was not only the guy they cast, he was the first guy they went to. So he was their first choice. The second thing that he confirmed that there had been some whispers of is that Christopher Nolan was involved in the casting of Ben Affleck. The third thing that he talked about was that Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is going to be much more of a socialite than, say, Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne was. He also said that Ben Affleck's Batman is going to be a much darker and a much rougher, kind of brutal Batman than Christian Bale's was. And then he went and turned the conversation to Wonder Woman. And this is, I got a feeling we have a lot to talk about the Batman stuff, but this is probably going to be the flashpoint for a lot of people. Roven seemed to confirm that number one, Wonder Woman, and you guys will know, I've been holding on to this theory that in the Batman, or in the Man of Steel prequel comic, we see that Kara Kal-El, or Jor-El, or Kal-El, that's right, Kara-El, whatever her last name probably was, Supergirl, crash lands on Earth like 10, 20,000 years ago in the past, right? And that we see in one of the final frames of that page in the comic book that she actually walks off into the distance away from the wreckage. So that's led a lot of people to think, what's her role going to be in the future, whatever. And I've always kind of held on to this theory that Wonder Woman will somehow be a descendant of Supergirl. That's how I kind of thought. Well, forget it. That's apparently, according to Roven, that ain't the case. Roven said that Wonder Woman is a demigod, and that she is the daughter of Zeus. Huge departure from what Warner Brothers has done with their properties in the past, going into the real Greek mythology, stuff like that. So that's all really interesting. Dennis, let's start with you. What really jumps out to you with all these little factoids that the producer dropped on us?
For me, it is that Christopher Nolan took part in the casting of Ben Affleck, because that kind of, there's a lot of people who are on the side of Ben Affleck. It's going to be great. There's a bunch of people that Ben Affleck is terrible. I'm wondering what Nolan fanboys think now that they found out that Chris Nolan actually had a hand in it. Like if maybe that's like his stamp of approval, who knows? But maybe after Gone Girl, more people are more grown warmer to the idea.
Christian, what about this stands out to you?
The Wonder Woman stuff. I mean, you and I talked about it off air too. I think that's how her being a demigod, I think that's how you can make sense of it all, of her powers. But I think a lot of, especially Wonder Woman fanboys, are going to lose their minds over it. I think that because anytime you change up the mythology, especially of a character who has not yet been introduced, and you start saying, why are they changing this up? They haven't given her a chance. She's not from the Amazon. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. So people, especially for a character who is as beloved as Wonder Woman, they haven't done this yet. So I think there will be an outcry. It's just a matter on how it's delivered. I think it's cool for me. I think that it could work if it's done properly with her being a daughter of Zeus. And the other stuff is, I just thought that Josh Brolin was actually a guy they approached first. That's what I had heard, so I guess that's not the case.
One of the things that stands out to me that I'm really liking what I'm hearing is when he talks about how this Batman is going to be a darker, rougher, probably more brutal Batman than the other one. Because one of the things that I find fascinating about the character of Batman is he is super intelligent, yes, calculated, strict code. And as as level-headed, logical, can be cool, cold, calculated, the whole bit. But we forget that underneath that, and this is the way I've always looked at Batman, that underneath that boils the rage of a guy who, there's a part of him that just wants to destroy things. And that's all tempered by all that other stuff. But we forget that when he looks into the face of a criminal, of a mugger, whatever, he sees the face of the people who murdered his parents. Right. And he wants to extract all of his rage on them within his code, right? And I've always wanted to see that explored a little bit more. From all the great Batman incarnations we've had, I've always wanted to see that exploration of the guy who, underneath all that, is a boiling rage, and I wanted to see that a bit tempered by the facade, right?
And Affleck does that really well.
Yeah,
too.
and I think he can do that brilliantly. And then the other thing, of course, is the Wonder Woman stuff. I mean, this is our first kind of glimpse into what are we getting in this character. And like I said, it's a huge departure from what Warner Brothers has done. Going from, the Christopher Nolan Batman series, which is this is the real world. All the laws of physics and everything apply. Now they're going to go really heavy into Greek mythology. And I find that interesting, but these are the first, I think you were alluding to this, these are just the first pearls of information we have. There's probably a ton more information that we need to really give this context. So I'm not going to get too excited about it. I'm not going to get too outraged about it until we understand more. Okay, she's a demigod, Zeus is involved, right? But what's the rest of the information? Let's see how this.
I'm surprised they even went that far though into.
I agree,
because even like you take something like Superman, which isn't real, but at least they try and explain it like with science fiction.
The radiation of a yellow sun
exactly
does this to cells. And
this is a whole nother ballpark. So I'm very fascinated they actually did this.
But it makes sense though, because eventually you're going to have to start going that way if you're going towards Justice League, because you start dealing with aliens and other world creatures and stuff of that nature. So
Aquaman's going to be an interesting challenge.
So maybe they have to start doing that because and you're getting so far away from the Nolan universe of what he did, like you said, basing everything in realism, that this makes sense to start gradually introducing.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.